Alright, so today I'm going to probe some ball python hatchlings to figure out the males and the females. And these will be the hatchlings I'm going to bring to the next reptile show, the Denver Repticon. It's coming up in just 3 weeks. I'm pretty excited about it. That is October 19th and 20th. 2019. Hope to see you there. It's probably the highlight of my entire season, actually bringing my snakes to the show. And the funny thing is I actually look usually just at a few of my hatchlings at a time, and I actually don't even see all of them all together until I go to that first show and put 60 snakes in my display cases on the table, and it's a pretty impressive sight. And I'm standing there for 2 days looking at all my hatchlings. I'm like, wow, these are really cool. Actually, I think I want to keep that one and hold it back. And as you get to the point where you can't keep them all, you actually have to sell most of them, which for me, it's kind of hard actually letting them go. There's actually one that I'm going to start with. It is a super pastel, 100% het desert ghost. And if it's a female, I think I might keep it. It is a really impressive snake. And if it's a male, I'll probably sell it at the show because I'm looking for some female hets for my desert ghost project, which would be pretty cool. I actually have a female that is, I just have one female visual desert ghost that I started with. Don't really have any other females. I'm really trying to expand on the desert ghost stuff. So what I'm gonna do today is I'm just gonna pull out some of these snakes. They all have names, so I'll tell you which name is which, and I think it's easier to remember than like if I just give you a number of a snake like most breeders do. They have like a serial number or something for the snake, and this year I actually named every single hatchling. So when I pull it out and say, hey, this is Freddy, you know exactly what snake you're looking for. If you go to the show and you're looking for Freddy, hopefully I'll still have them in my display case. And anything I don't sell at the show, I'm going to advertise on Morph Market, and I'll be sure to let you know in a video before I post them there. And I'll probably start shipping some through the mail. This will be my very first year shipping hatchlings through FedEx. You ship them overnight to your local FedEx center, and it'll be interesting to actually go through the process. I haven't actually shipped any snakes before. So let's pull some snakes and check them out. Alright, so I'm going to start with this snake. Take a look at this beauty. This is what a super pastel looks like. And I would say the super pastels are probably one of the really craziest looking snakes. That is really insane. I've actually never hatched out a snake. Even if this is a male, I might actually keep it. That is one of the best snakes that I've ever hatched out. It's really cool. It's super pastel, 100% het desert ghost. And this one, I actually named it Spock. So I'm hoping it's a female, but it's now that I think about it, it's kind of a boy name. I guess, I don't know if you could have a girl named Spock. And what I use this probe kit. You can pick them up really inexpensive. I can't even remember how much I paid for this. I think it was like less than 20 bucks. It wasn't that much. And then I always use the smallest probe. And then what I do is I use like a personal lubricating jelly and just put a little bit of lubricant right on the probe. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually stick the probe in the tail pocket of this guy. Let me see if I can zoom in just a little bit more, and I'll show you. This one looks like he might be a little bit nippy. That is such a beautiful snake. I can't believe it. I'm really hoping that this is a female because I'm thinking about really keeping this. I think if it's a male, I might actually sell it, but we'll take a look here, see if it's a male or female. This one's actually eaten 4 meals. So if it goes in just a little bit, it is a female. And if it goes way in, it's a male. And this is a female. All right, this is awesome. I am definitely going to keep this snake back. That is a beauty. Wow. I really love that snake. That is going to be a keeper for me. Take a look at that beauty. Wow. So what I do is I print out male or female. I have this little label maker and print it out. And I actually use stickers. Last year I was using magnetic, I was actually putting this on a magnetic strip. And the problem is I actually had a label fall off and disappear, and it was a pastel. And I'm not sure exactly if it was het for something else. And I just put pastel on it and sold it at the show. I wasn't even sure what it was. And this year, I'm definitely not going to mix up my snakes. I'm definitely going, instead of the magnets, most of of them will have just the stickers instead of the magnets. I actually do magnets on my breeders. I don't really care because I know what they are, but I definitely don't want to mix up my hatchlings. Alright, so up next is the spider. I really love the spiders. The spiders are amazing snakes. I think the gold snakes are my favorite. You know, the pinstripe is one of my favorite, and if you take a look at this, I would say this would give pinstripe a run for the money. This is a beautiful, just a standalone morph. You breed it to anything, and 50% of the babies come out spider. And this is not arachnid that we're talking about. Actually, I was talking to someone today, and they were like, yeah, I heard you talking about your arachnid snakes. I thought that was kind of funny. These are actually not related to the arachnid spider. It is just what they call the morph, kind of like a spider web pattern along the back. So this one's actually 100% het pied, 50% het caramel albino. That actually came from my spider pied male, which is one of my biggest males. He's really huge, and I bred it to my really big female that is 100% het caramel albino. And let's see if this is a male or a female here. This one. Ooh, it's going way deep. Let's try it again. I think. Well, I think he's just tense, just really tense. That is definitely a male. So this is a male spider. Usually the females definitely don't go in that deep with the probe. All right, so here's another spider. This one we named Terminator, and the interesting thing about this one is it actually seems like it is quite a bit brighter than the other one. It's really kind of a bright yellow. It's definitely, you can definitely tell the difference. Sometimes they're more yellow, sometimes they're a little faded, sometimes they have more or less of the kind of, it almost looks like calico, but it's not calico. It's part of the spider gene, and sometimes that calico looking, kind of the white in there, kind of comes up on the sides further up, and it's more intense, which is kind of interesting. That is a really beautiful snake. Take a look at that. I'd say that is probably one of my favorite, the spiders that I hatched out this year. And I just hatched a few for a select few people that were actually looking for spiders. A lot of people are wanting to make bumblebees, and you know what? I'm thinking that is definitely a male. That probe went way in there. That is another male. Alright, so here is another spider. This one we named Sunshine, and this one looks a little bit different. This one actually looks like it has more of the white coming up the sides, which is interesting. If you can see, this one is, I think it still has the really bright yellow, but it looks like it definitely has more of the calico kind of a look coming up the sides. It's really an interesting snake. Take a look at that, how much white is on it. That is a lot different than the other one. It's pretty amazing. Even in, they're essentially all brothers and sisters, all from the same pairing, from the same clutch. Yeah, this one's kind of interesting too. Look at how yellow it is right along the bottom here on the tail. This is kind of interesting, and the belly has an interesting. This is the first time I hatched out spiders, so I'm like, wow, that is pretty cool. That is a really neat snake. So let's see if this one is actually male or female. And hopefully we'll actually get a female with one of these. These are all these are all males. That is another male. Wow. These are definitely, don't think a spider can be a male maker, but that is a lot of male spiders right in a row. That is pretty incredible. Alright, so this one we named Slayer. This one is actually from the very same clutch. This is the sibling of those spiders, but it didn't inherit the spider gene. So this is just pretty much a normal looking snake, normal, classic, wild type ball python. It's really dark for being a normal. It's kind of interesting. Still has pretty much the alien heads that you normally see on the regular normals. But it's actually 50% het caramel albino and 100% 100% het pied. From the pairing, we know that's what it is. So there's a 50% chance that this carries the caramel albino gene, one copy of the recessive gene. You can't tell if it's in there or not. That's why we say 50%, because we don't really know. It could or it could not. And you don't really know until you prove it out and you actually figure out one way or not. So actually, if you took this snake and you bred it to a caramel albino after it grows up, of course, and you actually produced a visual caramel albino, then this 50% het caramel albino would actually turn into 100% het caramel albino, because you'd prove it out and you'd know for sure that that gene is in the mix. But we also know that it is 100% het pied because the male was actually a visual spider pied that we used to actually breed this one. So if we can tell, we can probe this and see if it's a male or a female, and this one is not going in. It only went in just a tiny little bit. This is definitely a female. So if you're looking to get into a pied project, this would be an awesome breeder. This is essentially what I like to start with for my females. I like to buy the visual pied males and breed it with something like this that is 100% het for pied. And actually, if we look at the tracks down on the belly, you can see it definitely has really strong pied markers. Sometimes you'll see them and sometimes you won't. And what it is it's these black lines right down either side of the belly, right here, that you can see right along here, and that is usually a really strong indication. Like if I was to hand you a snake and you weren't sure what the genetics were, you can actually see those tracks, and there's a pretty good chance, it's not always guaranteed, but a lot of times there's a good chance it's het pied if you actually see those lines down the belly. So here's another one. We named this one Electra. Kind of an interesting name. This is exactly the same as the last one. 100% het pied, 50% het caramel albino. This one looks like it's maybe going into a shed or something. It's kind of interesting that it's a little bit more, it's dark, but it looks like it's faded out a little bit more, like it's going to go into a shed. We'll take a look at this one. This is actually the very last snake that I'm probing in my ARS 1039. So I actually went through 39 snakes and figured out the males and the females, and this one is definitely a male. As a matter of fact, the cheapest way to get into a pied project would be buy this male and buy the female het pieds, breed them together. I think 25% of the babies would come out as visual pieds. Alright, so this is Boss. We named him Boss. This is a tiny little bamboo. Look at how tiny he is. He actually only had 2 meals since he hatched out. This has been my problem child. All my other snakes have had 3 meals, anywhere from 3 to 6 or more meals. This one I thought I was actually going to have to assist feed because it was so far behind. It's a really beautiful snake. It's finally ate 2 really small little tiny mouse crawlers. There weren't even hoppers. They were smaller than a hopper, and I actually had to go below the smallest size to actually get this guy to eat, and he finally ate a couple. He's on his way. Usually once they eat the first couple, then you're pretty much okay because they actually figured out how to eat. That's the hardest part, and that's actually when you have to assist feed. But you know, once these guys get up to like 4 or 5 meals, then these guys grow super fast and they will eat anything. And I was worried about this guy for quite a while because he wouldn't eat, and he finally started eating. I don't even know if I can probe him because he is so small, and I'm not 100% sure this is going to probe out right. I usually like to let him get a little bit bigger, and he's starting to crawl away a little bit, and he's really super tense in the tail, and sometimes you just have to wait until they relax a little bit before you can actually probe them good. Let's see if this guy will actually let me probe him. So I'm thinking this is only going at just a tiny little bit. This is a female, so this would be, as a matter of fact, it is such a stunning snake. I'm almost tempted to keep this myself. I was actually looking for a female bamboo, maybe to breed to Bobby, and we could get super bamboos, which would be kind of cool. But I don't know if I have the rack space to actually hold back another bamboo. It'd be kind of cool to have a mate for Bobby that was just kind of just a straight bamboo. That is a really impressive snake. All right, so take a look at this stunning snake. This is a coral glow. I actually hatched out quite a few coral glows this year, and my male coral glow is a male maker. So technically every single coral glow that I produce has a good chance, 99% chance that they're all gonna be male. So I'm guessing that this one will be a male. As a matter of fact, a male, I would say these male coral glows, if this actually was a male coral glow, it would probably be worth just a few $100. And then if you actually get a female coral glow, I've actually seen them sell for $2,000. That's how rare the females are. You'd be hard pressed to actually find a female, because it seems like every single coral glow anymore is a male, which is pretty crazy. And let me see if I can probe this guy. This guy's only had 3 meals. These haven't been out of the egg for very long at all. And it's kind of the rush trying to get these guys to get big enough to actually go to the upcoming reptile show. That went way in there. This is definitely a male. So these pretty much, you know, they've all had 3 meals. I actually just tried to move this guy over to a small rat pup and he wouldn't take it. So it's pretty much still on live mice. I'm hoping I can actually get him over to a frozen thawed mouse before the show here in 3 weeks. All right, so take a look at this little tiger. His name is Rusty. Look at him. He's like looking for something to bite. And actually, I picked up a different snake and I actually did take a bite from one of those little hatchlings. Doesn't really hurt, just kind of surprises you when they bite you. This is actually, if you look at it, it looks totally normal. If you were to look at this, the pattern's a little bit jumbled up, and if I just handed you the snake, you probably really couldn't tell that this is one of my most expensive snakes that I hatched out this year. As a matter of fact, this is one of my triple hets: het albino, het pied, het clown, and I'm actually hoping for 5 females and 1 male. I don't know if it'll actually work that way, and if I have multiple males, I'm not sure if I'm going to keep them all or not. But I think for now, I want to probably keep all of them until I start growing them up, and I know for sure they have a really good start, because I don't want to end up with just keep 1 male and then something happened to that male or something. Where, as a matter of fact, if I ended up with a whole clutch of males, I might actually unload some of the males. But I'm hoping for mostly females. So let's take a look at this one and see if this one is a male or a female. I'm really excited about these. These I probably won't have at the show unless I have an excess of males. We'll take a look at this and see what it is. He's really, really tense. Super tense. This guy's like a rock tense. He needs to calm down. This snake needs to relax. Boy. Whew. All right, come on, let's go. All right, Rusty. All right, let's see. This one is a male. My first one that I probed is a male. I think I want to save the rest probably for another video, but it'll be interesting to go through the rest of these snakes, figure out the males and the females. All right, so it is time for the question of the day, and Gavin Swinford asks, what is your least favorite ball python, or do you love them all? And that is a very good question. As a matter of fact, I do have my favorites, and I have some that are not really my favorites. I'd say my favorite is probably Bobby here around my neck. The bamboo ball python, they eat really well. They're really impressive as far as just a standalone morph. And I would say my least favorite ball pythons, there are quite a few in my collection, and those are the ones that actually refuse to eat anything. I have a few females that are just really stubborn eaters. As a matter of fact, I have a lemon blast, pastel pinstripe, that I bred once, and for some reason, after she laid eggs, she just decided she was not gonna eat, and it's been like 1.5 years, and she's still super skinny. I'm gonna give her another year off and see if I can actually get her to eat. And sometimes it's funny, because sometimes they'll fast for a really long time, and then something will just switch and they'll start eating, and once they start eating some decent sized rats, they can grow at an incredible rate. As if you notice, Bobby's getting a little bit chunky here. He's back on food. He's eating pretty much once or twice a week now. I've been feeding him smaller rodents so I can actually pick him up and handle him. You don't want to handle him too often after feeding a rodent. So I've been trying to feed him right after a show and then give him a whole day before I actually pick him up. So I would say actually I had a pied female that everybody wanted, was really interested in, that I sold last year in the fall at one of the shows. And it was one of my most stubborn. It was one of my very first ball pythons, and I never got that thing to breed because it hadn't really eaten really well for, it was like almost 4 or 5 years, and it just would not put on the weight. I tried everything and it wouldn't. I just finally sold it, and I even told everyone who was looking at it, I said, I just cannot get this snake to eat. I'm selling them at a discount, and good luck if you can actually switch it over to getting it to eat. And sometimes for ball pythons, for no reason at all, it seems like they'll go off of food, and then I've had some that'll go off of food for almost a whole year, and then something will just switch and they'll go back on food, and within just a matter of a couple months, they can really pound some rodents and get up to weight really fast. It is just, I'd say it's probably one of the biggest frustrations with ball pythons is their moodiness when it comes to eating. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching. I want to give a shout out to my Patreon supporters. Thanks for supporting me. I'll put an end screen at the very end with all your names. I really appreciate it. And I will see you in the next video.